Is now the right time to buy a 4K TV? In the past, we've cautioned against buying an Ultra HD TV because there was no content for it and they were still pretty expensive. Now, a year later, considering that Amazon and Netflix both offer streaming 4K content, has the situation changed? What do you guys think? Is it time to jump on a 4K TV? Lewis, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, you know what? In terms of pricing, I'd say now is definitely a good time for
Really?
4K. And the reason for that is because, at first it was like really, really ridiculously expensive. Name brand 4K sets were like 2 grand and up. You had a couple of like off-brand names like Seiki doing a couple of cheaper sets, but even those were still like a lot more expensive than your typical 1080p. But now, post Black Friday, the entire landscape has changed, where now you're seeing name brand 4K TVs under $1,000.
Mm.
The first one that comes to mind was this Black Friday. We had that, what was it, like I think a 55-inch Samsung for $900, which was just insane. And the fact that the deal actually came true,
Right.
I mean, like, and granted, that was Black Friday, but that's going to set a new benchmark for these 4K TVs, where you're not going to see them creep over maybe 1,500 that much, not as much as before. It's cheap
Well,
now.
well, let me ask you this then. What's the delta between 1080p, say 55-inch, and a 4K TV 55-inch? Are they like in line, or is there a differential there?
I would say depending on what model number you're looking and depending on what year the 4K TV was released, it might not be that big of a difference. It might be $100 of a difference, maybe a little bit more, because of course, if you try to get one of the newer sets, which has the new HDMI spec and all that, that might be a little bit more costly than an older model. So I mean, like before you buy any 4K TV, of course, find out why you want it. I mean, you have to want it more than just like, oh, I want to, quadruple my resolution. In terms of content, you have Netflix and Amazon, but find out what shows are in 4K. Maybe the shows that you like are not in 4K. So
Maybe the one show you really like is the one show they offer in 4K.
exactly.
Dan, what do you think? Is there enough content out there to warrant a 4K TV? Are you looking into buying one of these? What?
I am. Actually, I over Black Friday, my son-in-law was like chomping at the bit. He like had some money to burn, and he wanted to buy a 4K TV. And so I told him about that deal. I think it was Dell that had, what was it a 55-inch 4K with a tablet and a soundbar for $700 or
Oh, that was
something?
the other one, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so he actually bought it. He got so excited he bought two of them by accident. So, so he had to send one back. But I mean, I really do think that now is the time because, just like with anything, you're going to buy it and it's going to be outdated within 6 months anyway.
Mm.
But there's going to be content rolling out. We've already seen Amazon, we've seen Netflix. There's going to be 4K coming out our ears within a year. So at least you're slightly ahead of the curve by buying something now.
Well,
And then,
see, Dan, I kind of disagree with that because Netflix has offered 4K content for quite some time, and it's only on a very small selection of
yeah,
content, you know?
but it is content.
Sure, but like, is it like Lewis said? Is it the right content? Is it enough content to warrant a 4K TV? And even if it is a difference of $100, $200, that's $100 or $200 you could save now while you wait for more content to come out. And by the time broadcasters and more content does start streaming in 4K, years will pass. I mean, like broadcast TV is still years out from offering
Yes.
4K, and in that time, your TV is going to get old, and you're going to want to replace it anyway. So, like, I'm kind of leaning on the save the $100, save the $200 now, buy a 1080p TV, and then buy a 4K in a couple years once you know that there's more content for it, and when it's more worth it. Even if it is like $100, $200, it's still kind of a savings, right?
I don't know. I mean, but is it really worth that savings? I mean, for $200, you spend that probably in movies over the course of a year, correct?
I'm an outlier case. Do not point to
Oh,
me.
okay.
I see very few
Maybe
movies.
Lewis. We'll go with Lewis on this one.
Right.
But it's like that $200 that you spend going out, you could actually have it in your home and enjoying that kind of cinematic, high-def, theater quality stuff there. So I say people go out and buy that 4K TV today.
And I say do not. Lewis, you're the tiebreaker.
I say go for it, but like, be a
Thank
little
you.
bit make a list of what you want. If you're
Yes.
gonna buy a TV, buy that 4K TV because your current TV is way old. I mean, if you have like, the TV that you bought last year, it makes no sense to buy a 4K this quickly. But if your TV is starting to show its age, go 4K because the 2015 models are all gonna be for the most part, they're all gonna be 4K, and even video files like we want the best blacks and the best contrast ratio and whatnot. Even they're going to be forced to buy 4K down the line because the top, every manufacturer, their top TVs are going to be 4K by default. So
Right.
it's just going to the entire industry is moving toward that direction, whether we like it or not. I mean, you're going to have no choice.
Well, I don't like it. But that's my 2 cents. What's yours, viewer? Why don't you tell us in the comments below how you feel about 4K TVs? Is now the time to buy one, or are you going to wait? And if you want to buy one, head over to dealnews.com and search for 4K TV, where if there's a deal on one, we'll have it. That's dealnews.com. Search for 4K TV. For dealnews.com, along with Dan Ledbetter and Louis Ramirez, I'm Jeff Summergy. Goodbye.